Hey everyone, I'm Roman. In this video I will explain to you how I use plastic card to build a box around my next upcoming framed diorama. And today I want to speak with you a little bit about this project. It's another one of my framed dioramas, incoming in the middle of work in progress. There's light. It's a small diorama that you can see over here, a very slim, thin frame. I built a box around it. Let me explain to you how I built a box for my next frame diorama with plastic card. This basically started during teaching a private coaching. I was teaching Dennis from Germany. He wanted to learn frame diorama building from me, composition rules and such, and we did something very cool in 2 days with him. Here is his result. Alongside, I created this, mainly focusing on my student and using this as explanation and demonstration piece. But I cannot wait to continue painting on it. I want you to understand what's going on there. There's basically many things. There's a tiny castle in the far. There's a tiny dragon with an even tinier vampire on it that I sculpted with green stuff. And then the rock crumbles down. The castle is old and dead. And then in the foreground, you have a horde of zombies approaching. And I want to give you a little bit of inside looks with the next couple of videos on how I created some parts of this diorama. If you're interested in framed dioramas and want to get insights on how I built mine, you can either check back with some videos over here on YouTube where I explain these projects, some of my framed dioramas, or you can go over to Etsy and check back with some in-depth ebook explanations, also on composition and such. Enjoy. Let me start to explain the frame building to you, what I did here. I did build the frame based upon a golden frame I got on eBay. I think it's a brass frame, yet it looks very golden. It was not a cheap one, as this still looks very old. It says over here, it says something. It says G. Horet in Berlin, something. So it's quite old. I think quite cool. Looks very, very cool. And I got this myself on eBay for just the frame for almost 150 euros. I kept it in my closet for a long time to understand what I want to do with it. And I want to create this framed unique diorama in there, like a miniature art piece, so to speak. Not just for display, but really art. So, and this is why I also take some money in my hand to buy such frames and collect such frames. The frame right now is rather black, and I will use some sandpaper and some sanding wool to get a little bit of the gold back after priming. I built a box around it from plastic card. Plastic card is a material that looks like this. And basically, I want to explain you what I did with that plastic card and how I built that box in that first video. I'm saying goodbye, as you don't see me much more often in that video. You might see me in the end. And in the meantime, you will see my hands working and hear my voice explaining things while I work through that. Enjoy. Hey, I hope you enjoy my videos. Thank you very much for your support in watching, pressing thumbs up and subscribing to the channel. With your support, I'm able to continue what I do. If you enjoy my videos, feel invited to support me via my Patreon, where you can find additional tutorials, workflow, creative challenges, my artist diary, and tons of inspiration. Feel invited to support me as a channel member here on YouTube for €1.99 per month, or go full in and check back with my Patreon. All links below. Thank you very much for your support. This plastic card is used for the side of the frames. I just take a steel ruler and a blade and do cut the lines that I want to have. I usually go with a depth of 4 centimeters. For this project, I picked quite the thin plastic card It was a 2mm plastic card. You can maximum go up to 3. The reason for it is I want to have it a little bit soft, because in that frame, it's not a squared frame. I do have some curves, and I want to adjust that plastic card to the curves. Take care to measure quite well, to work on a cutting mat, to protect your fingers, of course, when cutting with a blade, and work with a lot of pressure on the ruler. It's easy on a very thin plastic card. The thicker the plastic card gets, the harder it will get to work with it. Therefore, I recommend using a clamp and putting your plastic card with the ruler on your table. So you'll be able to have your hand free, don't need too much pressure. For a straight cut, I recommend not using a scissor for a plastic card. Just go with a blade and do a straight line, and then you can break it easily. As soon as I have my 4 parts ready, I check back with the shapes and where I need to do the bend and where I need to do maybe another cut. So I'm getting a feeling for how I work with that. A cut is needed over here, so I just quickly do this and just break it, and it should be fine. But usually, to be really precise, you should go with your ruler and have a closer look. Then I continue checking back with if this works fine. Usually these frames are symmetrically, but you have to check back. Older ones might not be 100% symmetric. Then it was time to glue the first part in. I usually put super glue inside the area that I want to glue, and then hold it in, press it in, shape it in. And if you want to really make this last, I recommend using accelerator for it. It will be hard without accelerator, to be honest. Accelerator is my friend here. A squared frame is easier to work with. Bent ones, round ones, circled ones are a little bit more complex. Therefore, I'm not aiming for perfection. I'm aiming for a box that is there, but I'm not aiming for perfection. You will see this in this process. Now I'm adding all 3 left parts to it. Same procedure. Alright, as I built this a little bit loose, you can see that there is still some open spots on my frame from plastic card that I built, and I decided to use smaller pieces to just glue them inside. So I was cutting some smaller pieces in the same depth than these parts and started gluing them in. It's not 100% super clean, I'd say. But this helped me to have a quick result, a quick frame that I can start with. I decided to glue them in from the inside and also used a lot of super glue with accelerator on it. So this is like filled very soon. I also used some of these parts to glue them from the outside, and overall I used super glue with accelerator to fill the gaps, as I knew I would use sandpaper afterwards to clean everything up. A quick and dirty solution while you work with it, but with sandpaper everything will be fine. I did a final check on all edges, used some super glue where it was needed to fill some gaps and to stabilize things, of course with accelerator. Like here and there. Cutting away some edges that are not needed. It looks a little bit like a mess before cleaning up with sandpaper, but that's fine. And now it's time to build the wall for the back. Therefore, I was planning to use like some remains that I had before of these two pieces, but then I got annoyed by the middle part that I had to fill in, and I will not use it. It would have worked, but I was like, nah, this doesn't make a lot of sense. After searching for some more plastic card in my drawers, here comes another plastic card plate that I will just use to cut the backdrop from. I used a little thicker plastic card piece here just to have more stabilization on the background. I think it's 4mm or 5. I cannot remember properly while doing the voiceover, but I think it was a little thicker than the one that I used before. And basically I kind of, you can say I just glue it in place where I need it. And you have to be quick with that, but I try to be as close to the edges as I can get while still leaving some remains here and there. So I'm able to cut off the remains with a scissor or a knife or a hobby blade. I try to make it stick rather quickly. So I'm bringing in a lot of super glue there before I use the accelerator. And I don't worry too much about the corners where I have these remaining super glue parts, and I don't worry too much about them. So basically it's accelerator now, and we are good. Super glue is hard in a bit, and now I can use more super glue if something is missing here and there. This is where I take a small fingernail scissor because it's strong and I can work in detail, and I start cutting off all the remains that are not needed. These are the sad remains of plastic card that will not be used. Goodbye. Okay, the last part would be sanding the edges and the with sandpaper. I usually wear a protection mask just because of the dust of plastic. I don't like that in my lung, so take care of this yourself. Unfortunately, there is no footage on how I sanded this as I was busy teaching, but I hope you enjoyed that first video on this topic. There will be more about that. Thank you, and keep on happy painting, building, framed diorama building, construction. In the next part of this video series, I will show you how I built up the small castle and the background with the dragon and such. Stay tuned for more. Bye bye. Goodbye. Keep on happy painting. Roman out.
Love the chase and the hunt, and I set the pace when I'm running. I always take what I want and I always give it 100. Don't need a bank, no, I'm funded. Play the game like it's nothing. I'm always thankful for something. Don't take for granted, stay humble. Now wake up.
Oh, that's a nice head. That's my head. Great filming, Roman. Stop that.